We're back, people, and today we're going to film on the Miami Dolphins offense versus the Bills defense, and they underwhelmed. Up to their standards, they didn't play very great as a unit. I would say, like, comparatively to the rest of the league, like, if this is their bad game, I'm not too worried about them in the future. Like, they were still able to move the ball, and you got to give credit to the Bills. Like, the Bills defense is really good. Like, they played lights out. They've been playing amazing. They made it as tough as possible, and the Dolphins, offense didn't play great, but they still were able to have some effect on them. So if this is like the toughest matchup they're going to have, I'm not super worried about the future. Like, this is one game. They'll get over it. They were still able to do some things pretty nicely. I thought Tua played overall fine. Not great, not bad. He had a couple plays he'd like to take back. But the O-line was probably the biggest issue in my opinion. Not too much time to build these concepts down the field. Bills ran a lot of cover 2, cover 3. Even ran some cover 2 man at time. Here, seam rail slide RPO. We'll start from the beginning and then go on. Dolphins were able to, be pretty effective early on. Then had some drives that stalled, and then they were still able to move it. Just weren't able to finish. Game got out of hand. Defense was the main problem in this one. We'll get to that later on. You can see them bite this on the RPO. Just get Milano. You're reading Matt Milano here, and once he goes down into the flat, because this guy's coming in unblocked, he should have, if he doesn't take the flat like this, he comes after you, forces Milano to go down to the flat, and then you throw this behind it. Good placement, back shoulder, keep it away from the other linebacker. They were able to move the ball overall solidly in this game. I liked what I saw from a couple different standpoints, like early on in this game, but after that, they started getting out schemed. They made too many dumb mistakes, and Liam Eichenberg was the biggest liability out there. Connor Williams is hugely important, as you'll see throughout this video. Dolphins avoid disaster on this first drive. Tua doesn't like what he sees on his first read, comes off of it, and then they get very lucky. It wasn't his, not a great throw here. Could have been a turnover-worthy play, I guess, but once 7 drives on this, on Moser, he just has the leverage advantage, takes this away, and he puts it a little too high, out of reach. Would like to see him, hang on to it, but it's definitely a bad ball placement. And then it almost turns into an interception off the tip, but then Waddle comes down with it. Just one of Tua's bad plays. I would say there was like 3 or 4 plays. This one is not as bad as the other dropped interception. This one's just off the tip, unlucky type of thing, but also a bad throw. Not as bad as his interception and the dropped one, but overall, not too worried from what I saw with Tua. He was not given, the receivers weren't open a lot, and then the O-line did not give him time. And for him being, a guy that's only known as one read or, struggling to play off structure, he still showed me enough comfortability in this game in those areas where he was still able to produce pretty, effective numbers overall. It's just, only one game. These things happen. You're playing the best defense in the NFL in Buffalo. You're 3-1, first 3 out of the 4 being on the road. Got to look at the context of it. It's still, a really nice start, and I'm not worried about the offense's future at all. Here's a very good bounce back from Tua. They motion H-hand across, do the fake play action behind the back. They did a lot of rolling out to the left in this game, and I understand why Mike did it. I don't like cutting the field in half like this as many times as they did, but with Eichenberg at center, they try to make things easy, man. They did the scheme where they would slide protection, and even when they would slide, they would never get pressure on these types of looks earlier in the season, but Eichenberg was getting beat, so they had forcing himself to roll out. Bills in cover 2. 2 is reading this first read down here underneath. It's taken away, so he gets to his second read. This is a good throw on the move. Puts enough velocity on it like this. That's a NFL level throw. It's a Tyreek Hill right there. Good accuracy. Like to see him bounce back after having a little miss on that throw to the play before this. Is a very nice first read. Not there. Pump fake it. Rip this back. Not even set his feet and make a pretty solid delivery on that one. Now into the second drive, H-hand finished off that last one with a touchdown. I broke that down in the H-hand video earlier. Play action. This is one of the few times he actually had time in the pocket. This is why I was saying the O-line definitely was the biggest issue, in my opinion, in this one, from comparatively to the other games. Because when he did get his time, they're running cover 2 man here, only bringing 4. They do the play action behind the back. They're actually able to slide and get room created here. Eichenberg doesn't get a one-on-one, and then Tua is able to come off his first read to Waddle. As you can see, it's taken away. He's looking here to Waddle, ready to rip it, but this guy's taking away the throwing lane, man-to-man. Comes off, reset his feet. Good footwork in the pocket, eyes tied with feet. Finds Tyreek. Good anticipation throw down the field. That was what you want to see out of the Miami Dolphins offense. Usually the first read's there, so it was a little bit different, but nice to see him come off, get to that second read, and then deliver a nice throw. This is, exactly what you want when you're doing these types of slide protections. It just didn't work later on Eichenberg got beat on a couple of them, and if you don't got time in the pocket to complete these long developing route concepts down the field, it's going to hurt you. You just don't even have a chance to complete it. This play was actually pretty crazy. The completion of Mostert down the sideline on the wheel. He's just reading the leverage of this defender. Bills go cover 2. Pretty, risky throw by 2. It's an absolute diamond. Great catch by Mostert. This was his best play of the game. He's reading this. He's just reading the leverage, and he sees how he's sitting on this, and he throws it so early. Gives him a little pump fake like he might throw it underneath, and Mostert makes a very difficult catch. It was nice to see the offense, at least rolling early on. They just got they slowed down for a little bit. And in the second half, they only scored 6, but they were moving the ball effectively. And then it reached a certain point where it was like, oh, okay, the game's out of hand. And they were still moving the ball. The Bills were playing their starters the whole time, and they didn't change their cover. So even though it was some garbage yardage, garbage time yardage, they were still playing the exact same defense, not changing anything really. So most of it wasn't really garbage time stuff, except at the very, very end. But that play right there, very high level stuff. But then after this drive, it started with when things get messed up. This is a big conversion for the Dolphins. Bills going cover 2 man across the board right here. Tua sees this depth here, pre-snap. Everyone else getting pressed up, working over here. Berrios on the slant. He likes the leverage advantage. 3rd and 8, 3rd and long situation. This looked like, the Dolphins offense of the other few weeks. Just in rhythm, boom. Ready to throw a great anticipation throw to Berrios. I feel like this is the type of play where the Dolphins offense misses Craycraft, because that's probably exactly where he would be. Berrios is more of a slot guy, but you can definitely see he's very much the wide receiver 3. The only other option here is sort of Tyreek working off the wheel on this sort of pick play here, and he could have definitely thrown that, but he would have waited a little bit longer, and if he did, the safety maybe could have gone over the top, and he's breaking on this because the throw's over the middle to Berrios. But like everything in timing there, these things were working out. And it all looks very good right now because that's how it started out in this game. But then we'll start to get into some plays where the offense kind of fell apart. And it was a combination of everyone, like the play calling, just mental mistakes, people getting beat up front, Tua not playing perfectly because things weren't always perfect around him. The receivers weren't getting open as much, and just really good defense by the Bills. Bills do a really good job of disguising this. They're playing some cover 6, actually more of a cover 8 look here. At the bottom, they're playing quarters. You can see how they gain his depth here. And here, this guy does a really good job of disguising. Like, first of all, it's second and 15. They get some pre-snap penalties. The Bills were very loud and kind of did that to them in this game. That was another big part of this one. But he's reading to this side of the field, and he's just reading this defender. If this defender gains depth like he's playing quarters, you throw the quick flat, pick up a few yards, possibly get 5. If this guy sits down in the flat, you're probably trying to hit the slant once he passes this defender. Tua thinks he's going to gain depth to do a very good job of disguising this, but he ends up being a flat cloud type of corner, so he closes, playing like in the palms type of coverage, gets down, and only gain a few yards. These are the things the Bills were doing to kind of disguise, take things away, and they're high level, like how you stop this offense is high level linebacker play. When the linebackers were doing a really good job of gaining depth and taking away the middle of the field and like safety play, it was very difficult for the offense to function overall. So really good work there by the Bills defense to disguise that. Then the next play, well, first they had a false start, then the next play, so they're just basically, the drive gets stalled by 2 penalties, and then they make one good defensive play, and then they just forced to throw a screen, and then this is the first Mostert fumble. Berrios ends up recovering, so it didn't end up mattering, but Mostert really struggled in this one. Just another player who had a very off game. I know I saw some people on Twitter, turning on him saying he's trash. He's not trash. He's never was going to be, the star player where he was making great plays every single game, but he's definitely had more of an impact for this team winning than he has negative. I'm not too worried about Mostert in the long run. Sometimes good players have bad games. You see it all over the NFL. Look how so many of the top quarterbacks had bad games this week. Joe Burrow hasn't really looked that good all season. He's playing injured. Patrick Mahomes had his worst game in a while last night. Players don't always play their best. These are one time. If it becomes a consistent thing, then you become worried. But after one game, it's hard to turn on a player who just had 4 touchdowns a week before. Bills did a really good job on this play right here. It's a 3rd and 2. One of the plays they can convert before the half. It was very important. Tua and Mostert just not on the same page. First of all, also the line. Eichenberg, I think this is a play where Armstead gets hurt too, but Eichenberg gets destroyed up front, so Tua really has to speed up where he wants to go with the ball. He could throw the quick out to Tyreek. I think this is where he's first reading. He doesn't like what he sees. He could have thrown this. If he threw with a lot of anticipation, they probably convert it, but he's also kind of short of the sticks. He's right even with the sticks right now. He thinks he wants to throw this up. Smythe's getting, contacted down the field. If Reed started this side of the field, it would have worked perfectly. Because look how 7 plays this. 7, who's, should have been over here taking away this lane. They had Waddle wide open. That's not like Tua's fault missing that. It's just his progression starts to this side of the field and is reading this side. But with how aggressive 7 played this with his eyes, it would have been nice if he was manipulating on this play to look this off. And then him and Mostert just on the same page, not being on the same page. I think he wants Mostert to sit down just based on the flow of the coverage. Just sit down, catch it, and then fall forward for, a first down. If he catches it, he's basically standing on the first down line right now. But would have been nice if the read worked to this side of the field, because the Bills' defense underneath was playing aggressive at times in these situations. Like, the biggest difference, go look at the Dolphins' defense on a 3rd and short like this, where they had to pass 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. Everyone's gaining 10 yards of depth. I don't understand the soft play calling. You got to be aggressive to stop these types of things. And they were just getting so much pressure up front with just 4. Bills here going quarters, backside, they're just matched up one-on-one. And things just not opening up down the field. They're trying to, get this look. They're getting some pressure up into his face. He has to slide away, feel this. There's nowhere to really go. This is dead. This is dead here. So he just goes down into the check down. Makes a good decision, but just you could see while they were forced to throw it down into the flats a lot in this game. One of Tua's worst plays in this game was this dropped interception, I think, to Trey White. He's starting to this side of the field. Looking at Mostert first, it's a 2nd and 1. First of all, I think the Dolphins just need to start running the ball in a lot of these situations. Just pick up these first downs. So I don't love the play calling. And he's trying to, Bills do a good job of this. They're playing off pre-snap, but he just closes right away. That's not really open. He probably could have hit Tyreek right here, and I feel like he usually would. But just where this defender was, if he did peel off, he could get this pick. And he's starting to feel a little bit of pressure too, and his feet weren't set perfectly. He probably could have made that throw. And then he sees Cedric Wilson. This is where, the not strongest arm thing when he's on the move comes into play. If he had a super strong arm, he might have been able to squeeze this into Cedric. But then Trey White makes a great play, closes very fast. Would also like to see Cedric working back towards the ball. I don't like how he just stands there. So this is a little bit of combination of, not great blocking up front, but definitely a bad play by Tua. One of Tua's worst plays in this game, I think, other than the interception, this was his one, But those plays did not lose the game, in my opinion, overall. This first interception he threw was, at that point, the game was almost over, and it was mostly on the defense. Defense gets up 48. I'm not blaming the offense too much, but I'm not too worried about this in the long run. Bills playing amazing. Got to give them credit. And then they go to run on 3rd and 1, motion around. I just don't like doing the tosses on 3rd and 1, man. I really don't. And then Mostert fumbles, yeah. Just game-changing plays like this. So that's why, the interception didn't matter. They literally turned it over the next play that he dropped it. But it was either on Tua's stats or on Mostert's stat that he fumbled. And then the play calling. I don't understand this. I know this play has worked pretty effectively in the past, but you get all the motion flowing this way with this fullback. It always works in the past. I understand maybe you're trying to you're misdirecting by going with the motion this time instead of away from the motion. But why not just go back? You have the number advantage down in the box. I don't understand why we're tossing it on this play, especially against linebackers that are very good against these types of situations. This is right before the half. After they have the turnover, they need to score here, and then they're trying to go for their play action. And this is where Eichenberg is the biggest, sort of disappointment type of thing for this team. I know people have problems with Connor Williams and the snapping was definitely an issue, but he's so much better at blocking that you take those things. You take, those tiny little problems. But sliding to the left here, they would do this all the times where they would slide to the left, play action, bring the tight end across, leave this guy unblocked, and would create this clean pocket. The guys weren't rushing super hard. This guy would end up getting widened naturally, but Eichenberg just misses his block on Russo. And if it holds for just an extra little bit, which it usually would have, look at the 2-man route concept down the field. Waddle would be coming open behind this, and he would try to layer this, throw this over the top. And if you see where Waddle is, just based on these guys, they don't gain enough depth on this specific situation, and they're all hugging the middle of the field. This is really weird, but it was definitely open down the field. It could have been a huge play, a possible game changer. These types of things is what weren't happening through the first 3 weeks, and Eichenberg just gets absolutely destroyed on his block. And this is why it's supposed to be easy on the offensive line, creating this movement down here, but he just doesn't stick with it. And then really good play by Greg Russo. Into the second half, first play got deflected at the line of scrimmage, then a nice little H-hand down to the flat, which I broke down. Nice to see Tua here creating some off script on the 3rd and 3. He gets pressured pretty quickly. He's working to this side of the field. Bills are in cover 2. They distribute this route concept pretty nicely. They're trying to, do the cover 2 beater, but what happens here, they're trying to give some eye candy, get this guy to break down, but he gains enough depth so Tua can't throw the corner, and now he doesn't have time to work to any other reads because he's getting pressured up the middle. He avoids him, loses the ball. Even though this is open, he's lost the ball, and he's already kind of in running mode, and he does a really good job making a play down the field. Got to give Tua some credit. He was fighting in this one. Even though he didn't play absolutely perfectly, he still was pretty productive overall, and for him not playing perfectly, I will take this type of game as his bad one, because it was fine overall in my opinion. Some mostly good, and then some definite bad that just bring down your performance. But Tua was fighting, definitely one of the least problem. I would say after Achan, I would say there was a few players, and then Tua was like the least problem for this team in this one. It would be like all defensive players, and then some of the offensive linemen. And then I don't think like Tyreek or Waddle were a problem either. They were just getting out-schemed mostly in the coverage scenarios. Just out-schemed. They do the play action behind the back, trying to roll out to the left or, bring this guy here. They're trying to bring Hunt across, but they bring the blitzing corner. Once he sees the play action behind the back, Robert Hunt's trying to pull across. Usually it's a slower developing thing, and he should have some time to work down the field, but he has no time at all. Good heads-up play by Tua. Also, biggest sign I think is Tua's jiu-jitsu definitely seems to be helping. He's not slamming his head into the ground. He got hit multiple times in this one. And if he had some time, we'll see if it would have worked out. I mean, this is sort of the clear out. If he had time, he might have been able to throw this ball in behind into this space here, but that was basically his only option. Or a check down to, I think that's a tight end, but I'm not... so either angled or Julian Hill, whoever that was. But just no play, out-schemed, bring the corner blitz to just absolutely destroy this specific play. I showed that play earlier where they got time off their play action. Things got set up perfectly. They had the clean pocket with the timing. They didn't get just destroyed right away. And then they are able to get the ball down the field. They did to Tyreek. He got to a second read. Very similar situation. Cover 2 man again. They could, if they got time with them playing cover 2 man up front, Tua was able to find his guy, still get rid of the ball fairly quickly for them dropping play action and throwing the ball deep down the field. Anticipation throw to Waddle, good placement. These are the things that this Dolphins offense really thrives at. And if they can just get their pressure cleaned up front, which this Bills front played amazing for only bringing 4. This is how you do it. They make it schemed up. Just the Bills rushers weren't able to get anything going. It makes it look like a run play with how aggressive they're pass setting here. And they're also double teaming in the interior, which gives Tua just a super clean pocket to work with and make a play in the rhythm of the offense. Cover 2 beater, down in the red zone. Great throw from Tua to Berrios here. They motion this across. This is a good play. He's just reading 30. They ran a lot of cover 2. You've seen how they just read this flat defender. Down here, does he sit on the Tyreek or the Waddle, which goes down into the flat? This is a 3rd and 6 situation. Tyreek sits right at the sticks. He squeezes it just enough, slows down just enough to where he throws with great anticipation to find Berrios in the back of the end zone. Great play call, great execution. Here's the interception from Tua where he does this, usually like once a game, where he sees this safety open up pre-snap and he's just ready. He just makes a pre-snap decision. He does this sometimes. It's not that he doesn't read a defense, which some people say he's a one-read QB. There's just times where he trusts himself too much pre-snap and he trusts the system too much, where if he sees this something correct here, which they motion out here wide, he wants to get this DB to widen enough to where he can throw the seam to the number 3 to the backside, so he's just holding him. Because you can tell by he does this, he's looking away, and then he resets, and he's already getting ready to throw as he's looking to this side of the field, but it's not open. Like, this linebacker gains too much depth to the number 3, which forces Tua, instead of throwing it to the middle where you would usually throw this type of route, a seam bender towards the middle of the field, he tries to put it a little bit on the back shoulder. Chosen is starting to slow his route down a little bit. Ball floats too high and then gets intercepted. Just forcing some pre-snap decisions. I feel like this is a thing that, people have almost like stereotyped Tua with, lack of a better word, but just this is something he does from time to time. It's not a consistent thing. Usually he does this usually it works out for the offense because he's very good pre-snap, but these are the types of negatives that can come from it. The next play, they are able to at least respond with something that looked like their old offense, the motion across, get a pretty clean pocket, hit your back foot, and then deliver a nice target down the field, lots of depth on it, but also very quick in rhythm with the offense. This is just something they weren't able to do as consistently in this game. You can see the emotion, the effect. Look at number 7 here, who would be in this starting lane. He gets bumped down. They all get bumped down. And then with that fake toss, bring Smythe across. It just creates enough of a clean pocket, and they get rid of the ball so quickly, and the space was created. This is the type of thing that will work a lot more consistently versus other defenses. The Bills just played it a lot better at a consistent level. Here's a 3rd and 6 where they didn't give Berrios the first down. Good read by Tua, just reading the flat defender. They ran a lot of cover 2. He was making pretty good decisions once they realized what the Bills were doing on a lot of these situations. Just going down, he sees a too high safety look. Look at number 30. What does number 30 do? He starts to gain his depth. He anticipates that he's going to go right here to take away the corner route. They're running a lot of like smash type concepts. Throw it down to Berrios in the flat, and he just, I don't know how they didn't give him the first down, but they marked him a whole yard short, which made no sense to me, but it is what it is. And then the next play call was, I don't even know what they were doing. Then on 3rd and 1, they get a 6-man box. I mean, 7 can creep down and be involved in the run fit, but they have people here to block this. They definitely have a number advantage, and they go for the play action. Not sure why. And it's not even like, I don't even mind if you're going to throw it, but what is, the route concepts are so deep down the field off the play action. Tua's starting to his side here to Tyreek. I just don't know if him and Tyreek were on the same page, because he either expected Tyreek to just completely work deep, but he's kind of jogging, thinking his route's dead, or maybe expected him to break to the inside just based on what he was seeing, but there was just a clear miscommunication. Waddle does come open here late, and this is a throw I think Tua would be willing to make. Just look off the safety to this side and then reset your feet to throw to the middle to Waddle, but as he would probably do that, I mean, 43 recognized a little bit late, but as he would usually throw it, which he would throw it right here, he starts to feel the pressure to this side, and then they get sacked. But the worst part is, I don't know why they're just not running the ball there. If you're going for it, I mean, at this point, the game's pretty much over, so it's not that big of a deal, but just don't want to see these types of things play out too far down the road. Here's the touchdown called back from the ineligible man downfield. They go to their seam rail slide, RPO. Bills are in man-to-man, and this is what having backup O-linemen in the offense does to you. Dolphins O-line taught, don't go down on these RPOs. Do not go down a yard past the field. Look at everyone else. They start to float a little too much on this side, but they stay. They try to get back. Don't want to go. Maybe wind goes too far as well. But they just go too far down the field on this. It's a seam rail slide move RPO, so like it looks like this is designed for Tua to pull it and slide to the left. And then he makes a good adjust. Waddle adjusts his route. They're on the same page. He makes a good throw to Waddle. Just got to speed these things up, I guess. It wasn't open right away, so I don't blame the offensive line too much for floating down the field, because the initial read wasn't open, and Tua kind of had to move to throw it, because this guy was left unblocked, and I think he thought 57, or this guy right here was left unblocked, and thought 57 was going to come after him, which he didn't. He went to stop the flat. 57 just seems lost. But, yeah, just plays that could have easily had the Dolphins have more points on the board. I know they only put up 20, but they played better offensively than having 20 points, which even isn't that bad of a game. Like some teams are out here putting up 3 or 6. Then they get sacked on the 4th down, just not finishing this drive. They do a good job with their blitz here. They bring more. They usually would bring 4. This time they bring 5. Look how they slide this to the right. Offensive line slides to the right, and then they bring Russo off the edge. They have too many numbers to this side of the field. Just 3 guys come. There's just nothing they can do. Wynn and Lamb do their correct job. Wynn takes this inside guy. Lamb takes the most inside guy. Then the outside guy just comes in unblocked. Tua pretty much has no chance. They just got out-schemed. But, I mean, at this point, the game's over, so it doesn't matter too much. But would like to, see them at least score here. Getting towards the end of the game here, second to last play. Very good throw here from Tua, actually. Just throwing a wheel down the sideline to Angled. Just seeing them at least have some productive plays. He's trying to read this throw to Waddle. He's just reading 47. He sees 47 bite on it. And look at this throw, the anticipation. Look where Angled is compared to this corner. These are the things why I still love Tua. Even his off games, he still makes some amazing plays from an anticipation perspective. Each week watching him, his anticipation is still so much better than like 99% of the QBs in the NFL. And it's still a pleasure to watch, and why I really enjoy watching his film. Last play to break down, the sack that basically ends their final drive. Bringing 4, Eichenberg just getting beat on the play action, trying to set this up. Play action behind the back. They've done this so many times, and how many times would it have clean pockets? Things weren't open down the field, so it didn't really matter anyways. Nice to see Tua was durable in this game, but these are the types of things. You get Eichenberg 1-on-1, look how badly he loses. trying to, slide him here over to the 2-tech where Hunt pulls through. So there's a lot of space to work with, but he's got to understand that, get engaged, and he just completely whiffs. He doesn't have great technique. He doesn't have play strength. He doesn't have athleticism. That's why I'm not a huge fan of Liam Eichenberg. He's just a backup to me at best. And when he's on the field, he's a liability to this offense. He just doesn't fit it. Connor Williams needs to be out there. That was probably the biggest loss of this weekend. The defense we'll get to later. They really need a player like Ramsey back to change the flow. I haven't done a huge deep dive yet, so I'll figure out what the huge problem was for the defense. I think it was a mix of things, but there's definitely something I have an opinion when it comes to this Fangio scheme that I think might not be too good, but we'll see how it is once I really dig into it. But overall, I think the offense will be fine. Not too worried in the long run. So if you guys know the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.